Hi, everyone. Welcome to another segment of My Child, My Voice Kid Connection show. My name is Wendy Gonzalez Neal, and the show is brought to you by the National Parents Union. I am so excited about another book we're going to read today. As you see, I'm holding our craft of the day. The book that we'll be reading is Ruby's Chinese New Year by Vicky Lee. And our craft of the day will be Bulongju, which is the Chinese drum that you see me holding. It's a paper plate, but we're going to make some drums today to hear some sounds. And we're going to learn about what in China and other countries they call it the Lunar New Year. We call it the Chinese New Year. So we're going to learn about that a little bit more, and then the traditions that they have during their celebrations, just like our traditions that we do for New Year's. So I'm going to bring the book up. I'm going to put the craft down here, and I'm going to hide myself to start our story time. And let's begin. Ruby's Chinese New Year by Vicky Lee, illustrated by Joey Cho. Let me make it a little bit easier for everyone to see. Every year, Ruby's grandmother came to visit for Chinese New Year. Together they celebrated, eating special foods and making drawings for good luck. But this year, grandmother, who was unable to travel, she would miss spending the holiday with Ruby. And so Ruby made a decision. If grandmother could not come to Ruby, Ruby would go to grandmother. Ruby drew the most beautiful picture of her family seated around the table full of noodles, dumplings, fish, vegetables, and holiday sweets. A gift for grandmother. She folded the red paper, tucked it into a red envelope, and slipped it into her pocket. Then she set it off. Look at the beautiful colors that they're showing in here. Not far down the path, Ruby spied a cat and a rat. Hello, cat and rat. I'm taking a gift. I'm taking a gift for Chinese New Year to grandmother. Would you like to come along? Yes, of course, said Cat. But how will we cross the meadow and the pond? Let's ask Ox, said Rat. She's so strong and dependable. And so Cat, Rat, and Ruby continued on their way. Ox was walking along the path of the farmer's home. On her back she carried packages of rice cakes and candies, sweet treats for the new year. Hello, Ox, called Cat and Rat. We are taking a gift for Chinese New Year's to grandmother. Would you like to come along? I would be happy to, said Ox. Climb on my back and we will make the journey together. And so Ox, Cat, and Rat, and Ruby continued on their way. Before the group had taken 2 steps, Tiger and Rabbit bounded out of the bushes and streamers flying behind them. Hello, Tiger. Hello, Rabbit, said Ox. We are taking a gift for Chinese New Year to grandmother. Would you like to come along? Oh, yes, that sounds fun, said Tiger and Rabbit in unison. And so Cat took a seat on Tiger's powerful back, and Rat perched between Rabbit's soft, friendly ears. Together, Tiger, Rabbit, Ox, Cat, and Rat and Ruby continued on their way. They soon passed Dragon and Snake, who were making paper lanterns. Hello, friends. Where are y'all off to? Asked Snake. We are taking a gift to grandmother, said Tiger. Would you like to come along? Of course I would, Snake loved Grandmother and was happy to visit her. "We'll bring the lantern," said Snake. "Will you come too, Dragon?" asked Rabbit. "Of course," said Dragon, who was always ready for an adventure. So Dragon and Snake, Tiger, Rat, Ox, Cat, and Rat, and Ruby continued on their way. As they walked along, Ruby saw Horse and Goat grazing in the meadow. "Hello," said Dragon and Snake. "We are taking a gift to Grandmother. Would you like to come along?" "Yes," said Horse and Goat together. First they gathered flowers from the meadow, then Horse and Goat, Dragon and Snake, Tiger and Rabbit, Ox, Cat, and Rat, and Ruby continued on their way. After a short while, Horse and Goat, Dragon and Snake, Tiger and Rat, Ox, Cat, and Rat, and Ruby reached the pond, where Monkey and Rooster were catching fish for the holiday feast. And through the shrubs, just on the other side, Ruby could see Grandmother's house. With a leap and a bound, Ruby dove into the pond. She would swim to Grandmother's. She was so close. What happened here? Let's find out. When Ruby finally reached to the other side of the pond, Monkey and Rooster, Horse and Goat, Dragon and Snake, Tiger and Rabbit, Ox and Cat, and Rat were waiting with her card for Grandmother. "Oh no," cried Ruby, "it's ruined. Everything is ruined." "It's not ruined," crowed Rooster. "We have lanterns," said Dragon and Snake. "And streamers," said Tiger and Rabbit. "We have fish," said Monkey. "And flowers," said Horse and Goat. "We have rice cakes and sweet," said Ox. We have our family," said Cat, Rat, looking towards the house. Look at that. They had so much to bring. And Monkey and Rooster, Horse and Goat, Dragon and Snake, Tiger and Rat, Ox, Cat, and Rat, and Ruby turned to look, Dog and Pig came racing out to greet them. They covered Ruby's face with kisses and tickled her until she shrieked with joy. The door opened, and Grandmother appeared. "Ruby, what a wonderful surprise," said Grandmother. "I bought you a gift for Chinese New Year," said Ruby, "but it's wet and ruined." "Don't worry," said Grandmother. "It will dry. And seeing you and your friends today is the best gift of all." Together, Dog and Pig, Monkey and Rooster, Horse and Goat, Dragon and Snake, Tiger and Rabbit, Ox, Rat, Ruby, and Grandmother laid out on their table. Everyone was ready to celebrate Chinese New Year, except for Cat, who had fallen fast asleep. So you see Cat over here on the right, and look at all the beautiful food and beautiful colors. And this is what we've learned a little bit about the legend of the Chinese Zodiac. And the Jade Emperor ruled of all gods with Chinese mythology, hosted a great race across a wide and dangerous river to decide which 12 animals would win a place in the Chinese zodiac calendar. Cat and Rat were best friends and came up with a plan to ride Ox across the river together. As Ox swam slowly through the deep water, Rat suddenly jolted forward, knocking Cat into the river. It was too dangerous to turn back, and Cat was left behind. As the Ox approached the finish line, Rat jumped out of her back and claimed first place for himself. After Rat and Ox came Tiger, Rat, Dragon, Snake, Horse, Goat, Monkey, Rooster, Dog, and Pig to fill the remaining places in the zodiac calendar. Poor cat finished the race last and was too late to claim a spot. This is why this day cats hate water and are enemies of rat. So that's the legend of the Chinese zodiac. And you can see on the right is the Chinese zodiac that goes and tells you the years. If you were born in any of these years, whether it be rat, ox, or tiger, and it tells you what that's about. So mine is dog. So I'm honest, idealistic, loyal, and responsible. That's what the dog is. So that kind of gives you an idea of why we were talking about these particular animals in story time today. So as we finish the story from story time, I love the back of the book because it celebrates Chinese New Year's. What are the things that you can make and see during what they call the Lunar New Year is a celebration they do. And here it says make a paper lantern. Traditional red lanterns are a fixture of Chinese New Year celebration, which is the Lunar New Year. And it shows you how to make a craft to make a simple paper lantern. On the other side, it's how to make a paper fan. This is another symbol that you will see during their celebrations during the Lunar New Year. So not only will you see paper lanterns, fans have been used in China for centuries and make great decorations for the Chinese New Year's. And it shows you how to make a paper fan. And then here has, at the back of the book says, make good luck banners. New Year's is known as a spring festival. It is the longest and most important holiday in China. The festival is celebrated on the second new moon after the winter solstice, which often falls sometimes between the end of January and the middle of February. It is a long-standing Chinese tradition to hang bright red banners and signs the message of good luck for Chinese New Year. So here is a craft that you can also do is make a banner that says good luck in Chinese. Well, actually, you would write a message of luck on your banner. Try copying the Chinese symbol above, which means spring. So I take that back. It doesn't mean Chinese, it means spring. So you can get these symbols, and I love that this book gives you some ideas of what you will see in their tradition of the Chinese or Lunar New Year's. So that's what I love about it. And so besides doing our craft today, you can actually do this particular craft. So I am going to bring myself back. Hi. And I'm going to stop sharing. And so as I mentioned, I hope you enjoyed Story Time, which is Ruby's Chinese New Year by Vicky Lee. So I hope you get a chance to actually get this book because, like I said, it has some wonderful crafts at the back of the book that you can do that in different countries that they celebrate. And you see these symbols and traditions that they do during the Spring Festival. And as I mentioned, the craft of the day is bulangu, which is a Chinese drum. This is one of the symbols that you will see when they're doing that. Now we're making it out of paper plates, but it is very, and remember they were saying that they always want to wish good luck. So this is what we're going to make today. But I'm going to bring in some simple crafts that you have within your house, something that you can find. So make sure the adult in your house has or is with you to help you get all you supplies that you need. So I'm going to move my camera down so that we can start our craft and you know what supplies that we are going to need. And just give me 1 second because I know I'm having some technology issues here and I just need to make sure that it's working. Okay, so the supplies you're going to need is something very simple. If you have paper plates, simple as these, the thin paper plates, or if you happen to have the plastic plates, the colored ones, you could use this too. I happen to have both. I happen to have red paper plastic plates, and I have paper plates itself. You want to have a hole puncher, marker, scissors, a glue stick, a stapler, the stapler over here. You want some tape. You want ribbon, and you can use any type of ribbon or string. If you happen to have just regular string, you can use that too. And you want to have some kind of beads. I happen to have these type of beads because I do crafts at home. And so you want some kind of beads that have holes that you can string in the ribbon on. So anything that you have at home. And for fun, if you happen to have scissors with the funny designs, this would be a good time to use these too. If you don't worry, regular scissors will do. As I mentioned, this is a lot of supplies that we're going to be using for this craft today. So I'm going to move the supplies away so that we can start. And then another thing you want to know is you want to have like a wooden dowel. Wooden dowel is like a wooden stick. I happen to have chopsticks. So I broke them apart so that I can make my drum. Or if you happen to have a straw, maybe a colorful straw, you can use straws too. So if you have different color straws, that would be a good one to use as well. So chopsticks, straws, or wooden dowel. Wooden dowel is a round piece of wood that goes like really long. Some are short, some are long, whatever you have at home. Okay. Now, if you have your paper plate, if this is what you have at home, this is how we're going to make our drums. Now, I had already made mine here, so I'm going to put this over here that you can see. The first thing you want to do if you have the paper plate is to paint your drum. You want to paint not the inside that's pressed in that you usually put food on, but the outer part. See how it's like a moon shape oval? That's what you want to paint. What I did is, since they said red is a good luck color, I painted my plate red. So paint your plate plate all red. Cover all of this in red. You can do the middle. You don't have to do the middle, or just paint the edges. And you want to use 2 plates for this. So you're going to paint all of this here and all of this. So remember, 2 plates. As you can see, front and back. And then the next thing you want to do, and I forgot to mention on the supply, is construction paper. If you don't have colored construction paper, you can use white paper and then just use crayon or markers and color whatever color you want. I happen to use yellow construction paper, and what I did is I cut it with my special scissors to make like a real pretty edge. But you don't have to do that. You can make a circle. I use the plate to help me know what size, so that I cut the construction paper on. Once I cut it, it's going to look like this. Okay. And so you want to have 2 pieces because your drum's going to have 2 sides, this front side and back side. So the first thing I did was I got my marker, and it can be any color. So whatever color you have, I'm just happening to use black. Okay. So I'm going to write the word just good luck, because they talk about that a lot in the story. And if you need help on writing the words, just ask the adults in your house. Or if you're doing this with a class, just ask your teacher. And I like to be fun with my words. I put dots on my words to make it more fun. This is something I've been doing for a long time. I just like doing this. It's just me. But if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. I like doing it. It just makes it look, it pops out. Now remember, you have to do 2 of these. After you cut your circle, make sure you write your word good luck. And like I said, and you don't have to use a black marker. You can use whatever color marker, or even crayon if you have matte pencils, if you have crayons, whatever you have at home that are different colors, just use them. Like I said, I like the black, so I'm using the black marker for mine. Okay. And if you're using, a Sharpie, just give it some time to actually dry. But once you wrote your 2 words, I'm going to move my thing over here. What you want to do is get your glue. Now, if you have regular glue, you can use that too. I use a glue stick. I put the glue stick on here, and then I glue it in the center of the paper plate. Now, remember, this is already, if you've already painted, you want to paint first, let it dry, because I had to let mine dry for a few minutes before I started my craft. Now, that's if you have paper plates, okay? So I'm going to show you, because I happen to have red plastic plates. I decided to do both of them so I can see what the difference was that I liked or not liked. Now, this came out bigger than this, but that's okay. I'm going to glue this on paper plate. Remember what I said, this is going to go on the inside. You want to flip your plate to the outer part, where it's like this, the bottom part of your plate. I'm going to get my glue stick, and I'm going to glue my construction paper that I wrote good luck onto my plastic plate. Now, if you don't have a plastic plate, that's fine. Like I said, use a paper plate, or if you have foam, whatever plate you have that you can use. Now, remember, for this craft, make sure to wear something. If you're going to use paint, make sure you wear an apron. And if you're using scissors, remember that scissors are tools, not toys. Make sure if you need help, to ask someone in your house or a teacher to help you do that piece. Okay, I put a lot of glue on it, and I try to put the center of the plate, and I'm gluing it to the back here. And as I mentioned, I happen to have yellow construction paper. I used my little what I call my fun scissors. They actually do certain designs, so I did it so it makes it kind of pop. If you don't have that, just use regular scissors, cut a circle, and do it there. Now, you want to do both sides, because both sides will be showing. I had to think how I did mine, because I went ahead when I did my holes, and I'm going to explain the holes in a minute. I just had to make sure I did that right. So as I mentioned, you're going to have to do it on both sides because you're using 2 plates to do your drums. And you want to make sure you put plenty of glue so that it will stick to the plate, whether you're using a paper plate or plastic. I'm using plastic. Oop, my glue came out. I decided I wanted to pop out. And I'm going to put it on the center of my plate and make sure the glue sticks. All right. Now, the second thing you want to do, if you have paper plates, once this is painted, you have your construction paper or paper with your word glued to the back of the plate. The first thing you want to do is grab your hole puncher, and you want to do 2 holes on each side, the right and the left. If you want to make sure they aligned, what I would suggest is get, maybe a ruler, and then just kind of help you guide where you're hole punching each side, so you know that it's going to be even on both sides, right? And that's just for the paper plate. I already put holes in mine. I put a hole on my right side of my plate as well as the left side of the plate. And that goes for both plates. You want to put, in other words, you're going to hole punch 4 holes. Okay. And you're just going to use it. And if you need an adult to help you do the hole punch, especially if you have plastic, make sure you ask. Sometimes this part may not be easy to hole punch in a plastic one, or even the paper plate. Now, the one thing you want to make sure before, remember I was telling you you're going to need a stapler. What you want to do is make sure you got your holes that are lined. Make sure that this reads facing up And I'm going to pull my camera back up a little bit. What I was meaning is, see, this side says is make sure your other side is facing the same direction, because when I did mine, I had it upside down and I was like, oops. So make sure that your plates, it's both of them show like this. Okay. That's what I meant to say. Now, this is where a stapler is going to come in handy. And this is probably where you're going to need help with an adult in the house or somebody. If you're doing it in class, make sure you ask the teacher. It's stapling this piece, okay? Now, the first thing we want to do before we even start stapling is, whether you have a wooden dowel, I happen to be using chopsticks. You can use a colorful, a colored straw, or if you have pretty straws like I have here, you could use that. Now, I'm going to bring my camera back down so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to move one of my plates, and then what you want to do is, you see the holes are on the left and right. What I like to do is punch a hole on the one bottom end of the plate. As I mentioned, this part is not easy because this is, plastic. Now, the reason why I'm putting it just on one plate is because I want my chopstick to go through the hole. And then I want to be longer, so I'm putting it as far as I can, but I also need to tape it. Okay, so I have to bring it this way. So this is where your tape is going to come in handy. And actually, if you have a paper plate, this is a lot easier, because this one I noticed, because of the groove, I had to like really play with this sticking to my plate. So I had to use multiple tape to make sure it holds and it stays in place. Now, if you want to glue it, you can glue towards the back here. I'm taping it because I want it to stay in place, and I'm double taping it so I make sure it stays, because I want it to stay. And then if you have the paper plate, you can do the same. Remember, you have the right and the left hole. You want a third hole at the bottom of the plate. It doesn't have to be centered. If you want to, use a ruler to try to center it. And then only put a hole punch on one at the bottom of one of your plates. Both sides does not need to be hole punched. I just showed you here, even though I do have a hole here. I wanted to show you what it looked like putting it together. So now I'm going to bring my lamp up. Now you see the bottom piece where I can hold it. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is, now this is where my stapler comes in handy, and I'm going to staple all the edges of my plate. Now I'm not going to do all the edges. I'm going to do just like one side to the bottom side. Oops, I dropped my plate. So it's kind of hard to do it when you're holding it up. So I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to staple. And sometimes you might need to stand up to do it, or you need to put it on the table and then punch down. So that's why I said this part you may need an adult to help you to do this piece. I'm not going to staple it all the way. I'm just going to do, well, let me do this side really quick. There we go. Make sure they're aligned so that your holes are there. So that your holes are aligned as well. And so what I did is I got my ribbon and I stringed, like, remember I was telling you, I happen to have these craft things that I use. If you have plastic beads or whatever beads you have that'll hold, tie a knot at the end of one ribbon. Now, the length is going to be up to you. I did measure this. I kind of eyeballed it. And then what I did is it's putting it through the hole here. Now, the reason why I didn't staple it here is to help me put the ribbon through the hole. This is where I was saying you may need an adult to help you do this, because this part got a little tricky for me with the plastic plate. The paper plate was actually a lot easier to put this in. This one was like, whoa, wait a minute, you know, because I had to feed it through. Feed it through the plate. And that's why I said this one was a little tricky because it wasn't going. Now, if you want to put the ribbon first, you can. I've done that too, where I tied my ribbon first and then I stapled. So it's up to you how you want to do it. If you find it easier doing it that way, you can. And then what I'm going to do is feed my beads through here. And I'm putting 2 because I wanted it to be a little bit louder when it hits my plate. And plus these are thinner. If you have regular beads, you just need 1 bead. 1 bead will do. I don't think you need 2. These are a lot skinnier. And remember, you want to tie a knot at the end so that your bead does not come out. You don't want beads flying everywhere. Tied my knot, my bead goes there. And now you have 1 set on this. And you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. And then once you're done, I'm going to put this to the side, bring this back. Then once you're done, then you have, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have beads on each end of your ribbon. And then you have, like I said, I used a chopstick. And this is how, and the way they do it is, now I'm not going to do it really loud, but you roll your hands to where it will go back and forth. It's going to get really loud if I did it. And what happens is these are going to hit the plate and it makes a certain sound. And that's how you come up with your Chinese drum. And this is one of the symbols that you will see during their festival of the Lunar New Year when they celebrate, out of the many other things that you can do. So I hope you enjoyed our craft of the day, which is Bulongji, which is the Chinese drum. And of course, our book of the day, which is Ruby's Chinese New Year by Vicky Lee. Now, if you get the book, you can always go back to the back of the book and do either the lantern, the fan, or you can do the drum that we did today. So I hope you had a great time watching My Child, My Voice Kid Konnection show, brought to you by the Parents Union. And like I mentioned, I hope you had fun with this. I know I did, and I'm going to make some really good sounds. It's going to get pretty loud when I do mine, and I hope you do too. And remember, happy Lunar New Year. And that was on February 1st. Join us next week for another great activity. We're going to be talking about Black History Month, and we're going to learn about some really special people that I would like to introduce you to. So come again. My name is Miss Wendy. If you have questions or want to know how to make, the Chinese drum, you can email me at wendy@mpunion.org, and I'm happy to share that craft with you. Or if you know some other traditions that the Lunar New Year festivities that you do in your home, send me a message. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.